I'm 84 years old, and I'll never forget the day my daughter asked me one simple question that changed the way I saw my own life. She looked me in the eyes and said, "Dad, if something happened to you tomorrow, would I know where to find your important papers?" I didn't answer, not because I didn't know, but because I suddenly understood what she was really asking. For the first time in my life, my daughter hadn't come over just to see how I was doing. She was quietly trying to figure out whether I was still capable of managing my own life. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying the way her eyes moved from room to room. Then the next morning, while making my coffee, I realized something that shook me deeply. There are 7 things our children often notice long before we do. 7 quiet signs that make them wonder if we're slowly losing our independence. The 4th one hurt me the most. Before we begin, if protecting your freedom matters to you, please like this video and tell me your age in the comments. I always enjoy knowing who's watching, because after 70, we still have so much to learn from one another. The first thing is unopened mail. I walked into my home office and saw a stack of envelopes sitting on the corner of my desk. They had been there for weeks. I knew they were there. Every day I told myself I'll get to them tomorrow. But when I looked at them through my daughter's eyes, they told a different story. They suggested that Henry was putting off important responsibilities. And I couldn't help wondering how many people would notice that pile of mail before they noticed the man I had spent my whole life becoming. Take a look around your own home. Is there a place quietly telling a story you never intended to tell? I thought I understood. I was wrong. The second thing is even more subtle. 2 days later, my grandson came over for lunch. He opened one of my kitchen cabinets, and 3 storage containers tumbled onto the counter. It wasn't a big deal. We both laughed. But while he picked them up, I caught myself thinking, what if he believes I can't manage my own house anymore? It wasn't just a cabinet anymore. It had become a silent message. Then I discovered the third thing, the things we keep just in case. My garage held a broken fan, 2 coffee makers that hadn't worked in years, boxes of old cables for electronics I no longer owned, and a collection of tools that had become too heavy for me to use. I kept telling myself they might come in handy one day, but sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. After a certain age, some possessions stop protecting your future. They simply fill up your present. Even then, that still wasn't what worried my children the most. The 4th thing is something almost every older adult understands. Places that have quietly become harder to reach. I still climbed onto a small step stool to reach the top shelves. I still carried boxes up and down the basement stairs, even though I hadn't opened some of them in years. One afternoon, my daughter casually asked, "Dad, are you still climbing up there by yourself?" That question stayed with me all day, because she wasn't really talking about the step stool. She was talking about my safety. And if you're still here, comment, "I'm still here." Because it means a lot to know these conversations are reaching people who truly understand them. I thought that was the hardest part. I was wrong. The 5th thing stopped me in my tracks. On the top shelf of my closet sat a small cardboard box. Inside was one of my wife's scarves, a handful of old photographs, her house keys, and 2 movie ticket stubs from years ago. I opened the box, then closed it almost immediately. For years, I believed keeping those things meant keeping a part of her close to me. Then a different thought entered my mind. Memories have never needed cardboard boxes to stay alive. They already live inside our hearts. The 6th thing is even more deceptive, our habits. I found myself making 3 trips across the house because things were no longer where they belonged. I kept searching for my glasses. I wasted time walking around furniture I didn't even need anymore. Then one morning I realized something I wish I had understood 10 years earlier. It isn't always aging that makes daily life harder. Sometimes it's the habits we've allowed to stay unchanged. That was the day I started making one small change every evening. Just 15 minutes. One drawer, one shelf, one cabinet. Little by little, my house became simpler, lighter, and somehow, so did I. If this video is helping you protect your independence, subscribe now. Every week we talk about the small decisions that help older adults stay free, confident, and independent for as long as possible. Then I discovered the seventh thing, the one I had never seen before, the one that brought tears to my eyes. It isn't the unopened mail. It isn't the crowded closets. It isn't the boxes in the basement. What truly worries our children is the silent question they ask themselves every time they visit. Is Dad still able to live the life he wants? A few weeks later, my daughter came back. She walked through the hallway exactly the way she had before. She looked around quietly. Then she smiled. She didn't mention the house. She simply said, "Dad, you look good." And in that moment, I understood what she really meant. She wasn't seeing a perfect house. She wasn't seeing a younger man. She was seeing a man who had taken back control of his everyday life. A man who was still independent. So remember this, after 80, our greatest wealth is not everything we own. It's the confidence our children have when they look at us. Because deep down, the most beautiful thing they can say as they close our front door isn't, "Dad's house looks perfect." It's, "Dad is doing well. He's still the one in charge of his own life." I'm Henry. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.